There's been a lot of things to talk about with the Age of War, but between the new features and stuff coming in future chapters, it seems something has slipped under the radar. Crossbows are back in the game? Well, it sure seems that way, but is it intentional? Let's see. Firstly, I do have to thank Freedom News 7922. He left a comment on my Iceberg lore video letting me know they were back in the game. Now, if you're new to Conan, crossbows were indeed a thing about 5 or so years ago. However, at that time the devs implemented a new combat system, and they couldn't quite get crossbows to work properly within that dynamic. Therefore they were removed, and some old Reddit threads report the devs said they would look at better ways to implement them. They've been gone since then, and they weren't even in the admin panel. The only way to get them was through mods. However, it appears they're now back in the game. I can't confirm how long they've been back for or if they intend to stay. They're still not in the admin panel, but you can still craft them. Now, unfortunately, the bad news is I do believe the re-edition of crossbows is not intentional. The reason for that is mainly the feat you need to actually craft the crossbows isn't even in the knowledge menu. You can still create and use them, but either you need to have access to the admin panel, be in creative mode, or you'll need to have a server admin willing to spawn and give them out. I tried to find the feat, but after unlocking literally everything in the knowledge menu, creative mode or the unlock all recipes admin panel toggle was the only thing that worked. So, how do you actually craft them? If you head over to any carpenter's bench with creative mode or unlock all recipes active, you'll see them in the bench pretty quickly. There are a total of 3 crossbows. The first is the regular crossbow, which costs 7 branches, 39 iron bars and 20 silk with a card damage of 4. The heavy crossbow is second with 8 damage on the card, but the exact same crafting cost. Finally, the Serpent Man crossbow has 10 damage on the card and requires a sturdy string, 30 iron bars, 10 alchemical base and 10 reptile hide. You can also make flint head bolts and iron head bolts in the carpenter's bench. If you do craft a crossbow, that's where we get the second indication that I believe this is not intentional. The weapon animations are far from today's standard. In fact, I believe they're probably the same as they were 5 years ago. Your player rotates on the spot, the crossbow clips through your arm whilst you walk, there's no resting animation. However, probably the biggest giveaway is that the Serpent Man crossbow doesn't even have a physical model. You also can't place crossbows into a chest or on a display, which is strange. Nevertheless, if you are able to craft or spawn these in on your own server, are they even worth using? Well, these crossbows are agility weapons, so the scaling might make them worth using, right? Well, I've got a max spec character here with a Serpent Man crossbow and iron head bolts. We should hopefully expect some hefty damage. Nope. I mean, I suppose the damage isn't awful for the early game, but it is outclassed by probably every other melee weapon, and also this is the damage for a crossbow that requires alchemical base to create and a sturdy string. Now, given the investment it would take to get to max agility and max strength, let's compare it to a bow. We're not going top of the range, rather just an epic masterful bow with dragonbone arrows under the same conditions. Yeah, that's a big difference, and God forbid you actually have to shoot a crossbow out of lock-on because these things are not sighted properly. Usually you'd expect the bolt to fly out and drop, but these bolts fly out, rise, and then drop. It feels like someone sighted them out to about 300 feet without telling us. Overall, a nice novelty weapon, but definitely not one I'd ever choose to use. So now that we've established that crossbows are probably in the game as a result of an oversight, are crossbows actually coming back to Conan Exiles? I don't think so, at least not yet. Part of me would like to think maybe they were tinkering with them during development and forgot to fully disable the feat, but being realistic, it was probably completely unintentional. There are still quite a few red flags that these aren't meant to be back in the game, namely the damage numbers, the invisible Serpent Man crossbow, and the fact that they don't even go into weapon displays. As for now, they're something cool to have, I guess, but I really wouldn't be in any rush to find a way to get one. Is there a place for crossbows in Conan? I definitely would like to think so. I didn't play Conan back when crossbows were removed, so I can't really say I understand what the issues were that caused them to be removed. However, if they perform like this, I can kind of see why. They're pretty weak with a long reload time, yet an impressive accuracy due to the lock-on range. You buff them too much, they're absolute cannons in validating bows and swords. You nerf them, they're even more useless. You leave them in this state, they're just kind of mid. I would love to see crossbows back in the game at some point, but unfortunately, I don't think that's today. I expect these will likely be removed again when the next hotfix or title update drops. For now, they are just a fun little oddity to play with in single player or on a server that spawns them in, but they're still pretty clearly nowhere near up to the standards of the other weapons. I do hope to see them again in the future though. I do think they could fit nicely somewhere in Conan's arsenal, I'm just not too sure where. Thank you for watching, and of course a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. Do you think crossbows will ever make a return? I'd like to think that maybe they were tinkering with them during the Age of War development, but I think I'm probably being a bit too wishful. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.